Good evening, everybody. This is the Biomassed podcast, episode number 78. My name is Aiwha Bait. I am joined by my co-host Sarai Zell, and we don't have a lot to talk about tonight, but we're gonna try and uh,
Keep
get
this one
some
going.
keep
Keep
this
it
one going.
keep it
Thank you.
flowing. Throw some stuff at the wall. See what sticks.
All right. So that's the plan. Hopefully, it's mildly entertaining for the two people who listen. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the. I'm going to let our CPM introduce himself.
I'm CPM Aeon Amadi. I've been playing the game since 2012. Been playing EVE Online since 2006, and just recently joined CPM2 by election.
Zell.
I'm Sarizel. I was on the CPM1. I'm a co-host here on the show who tries to avoid doing introductions at any cost to the point that I put someone who isn't a host to start off the show. And I also write stuff on the blog.
And Jadek.
Hi, I'm Jadek Menaheim, manager of the Trello Trade Forums and chat channel, and tinker with mechanics of dust.
Okay, thank you. And of course, I'm Aiwha Bait. I'm a member of the Incorruptibles Corporation and a writer for the Biomass blog. To start off the show, we're going to pester our CPM, be Aeon, for his CPM update. So, Aeon, what's going on in the world of Dust right now?
Well, I guess the most prominent thing is that whole Battle of Akadagi thing that went down. I'm not sure if you guys know about that.
Dust matters.
I did hear about it vaguely. It was it a faction warfare battle where Dust actually played a part? I think.
What?
Yes, it was actually very heavily orchestrated by the EVE Online guys, and I actually went and got a hold of the writer for FactionWarfare.com, who was the orchestrator of that whole event, and kind of got the whole take on it, and basically actually learned quite a bit about the whole faction warfare system and all the pros and cons of it as it is. So been talking with some of the CSM guys and the faction warfare gurus and tacticians and trying to figure out what the hell we can do to actually make it matter a bit more. I mean, that one video, for some fucking reason, after 3 years of trying, sparked the interest of some of the EVE guys, the devs, EDC.
So, I didn't hear anything about this. What happened?
Okay, so the Battle of Akadagi, if I'm getting my story straight, I don't know for a fact because, I wasn't there on either side of it, but what had happened is the Galente and the Caldari were duking it out, and at some point they were the iHub, which is what you have to take in order to control the system for either side, was vulnerable, and they're duking it out, and then apparently the Dusters flipped the district, and suddenly the iHub went invulnerable, and they couldn't take the system or something. But whatever it was, it sparked a lot of interest, and I mean, because faction warfare is not really my forte, but holy shit, like it's
So
the amount of
did Dust players coincidentally / accidentally
Dude.
fall over the switch that mattered, or was there
no.
was there a concerted effort from Dust players to support that faction?
It was a little bit of both, really. I mean, the thing about faction warfare link with EVE Online and Dust 514 is that Dust 514 faction warfare battles are generated by the, they call it plexing, but it's whenever a EVE pilot goes and runs a dungeon for faction warfare and, does that thing. And apparently they had done a lot of heavy plexing in this one system, and it forced Dust 514 to start generating battles in that system. And whenever the big fight happened between a couple of hundred faction warfare guys and EVE, the Dust battle started pouring in because there was a lot of activity going on in the system as well. So they kind of orchestrated it, and then it was sort of like random in the extent that you figure that they forced the Dust battles to start, and then we just sort of took over from there.
Was this recently?
Yes, this was last week or the week before, I think.
Oh, cool.
So, Aeon, how's the conversation evolved that maybe kind of strengthening the link between both games?
Well, the CPM all have their own sort of projects, and I kind of like jumped the gun with this one. I sort of just like said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm just gonna like start asking people and figuring out what we can do. And somehow, somewhere along the line, some of the CSM guys got involved, and come to find out that we actually have a lot of support from at least a couple of them, and been talking with them about the pros and cons of how the faction warfare link works on the Eve side, and obviously because we're both under NDA for our specific games, we can't really talk to each other too much because there's like this barrier of communication between what we can and cannot talk about, which I'm not sure if I like that it applies to both ways, but you know,
Well,
okay.
as trivia knowledge, technically you can share it between the two consoles, but it has to be of relevance to the other game. It's
Right.
it's somewhat like it's kind of sketchy, but yeah, there's generally not a lot of communication between them. I'm actually really impressed if you've been having like some really good solid discussions with CSM about Dust. I know during my term we had a good communication. We had we chatted occasionally, but it was all only skin deep. So we'd say hey, they'd say hey, we'd share some relevant peeves about our respective dealings with CCP maybe, or we'd say well, that would be nice, this would be nice, everyone agrees that it would be nice if there was some sort of game link, but it doesn't go any further than that sounds like something that would be nice. So if you've taken it anywhere past there, that's really, really cool.
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a need to know basis, like you said. So I think we kind of both sides of it want to play it safe and just not talk about anything that's NDA to our respective games, just because it is sort of a gray area, and we'd rather not test fate. But like kind of started talking with the FW tacticians, and I'm not promising that any of this is going to go anywhere. I'm just saying that there have been some conversations about what's good, what works good, and what doesn't, and what we'd like to change, and it's just sort of like getting a foundation built for changes if they ever occur.
I know that the
Go for it.
what was that?
Oh, go for it, Zell.
Oh, I was just saying that I know the big thing that CPM Zero had talked about and saying that was their biggest regret for the faction warfare system was that Dust players couldn't choose where battles happened.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like a hit or miss sort of thing. Really, I mean, because if you start thinking about how, like, the first thing you have to think about, okay, is that if we do allow Dusters to choose where they fight, there's pros and cons to that, and not just for Dust. It affects EVE Online as well. And once you start getting into that sort of territory where you're starting to like affect both games, it gets really, really, sketchy as to like, how much weight you can actually have or want to have, for that matter. But so, like, I'm not sure if it was their biggest regret, because I mean, I've talked to the CPM Zero guys about some of this as well and gotten their feedback, but like, I think there's like a general air of like, yeah, we would like to do it, but we don't want to do it wrong, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
Kind of following that, I remember someone brought up the point, it might have been you, Aeon, that if you allow Dusties to pick the battles, a lot of that then boils down to which battles give the best gear and like how the community meta has evolved at that point in time.
I mean, it's not just that. I mean, like, you think, I mean, if we allow Dusters to choose the battle, the first question is how do they choose it and who? I mean, if you have all four of us in a room and we get to choose where we fight, I mean, if you look at the Galente Caldari Warzone alone, there are 58 different systems with which we can attack. So do we just have like free reign? Can we choose willy-nilly and just start generating battles left and right that couldn't possibly be defended because there's just so much of them, and just essentially recreate the problem with PC in that, you can attack all their districts and only show up to one battle, and they don't know which one it is. So there's the how issue, and then there's the who. So I think before you even get into, like how much effect they would have, you would have to look at, like how much effect do you want them to have, and whether or not, like, what the extent is of that effect is. So I mean, like, we've sort of like been playing with the ideas, like, do we allow them to attack only, or do we allow them to defend only, or do we allow them to do both? I mean, if we do one or the other or both, I mean, where can you attack? Is it only certain systems within the region? Is it only areas that EVE players are fighting? I mean, it's a lot of work. And it's all highly conceptual. That's another thing I should mention. Like I said, not promising anything, and like all this is just talk. Like there's absolutely nothing like as far as like actual like breadth here.
This is also kind of pulled in the pos bonuses conversation too. Chance Ravine kind of pulled that up again too when someone asked him if he could talk to CCP Nullivore about checking it out for Citadel changes.
Right, it's actually something I've been kind of worried about because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, like this is just from like what I've read in dev blogs. I think aren't POSs going the way of the dodo? So
Yeah,
I mean,
slowly phasing out.
yeah, it's that's like a whole different thing, and that's only really relevant to PC. Which I mean, like we still need to get PC fixed on Dust before we even start talking about how it affects Eve.
Yeah, that's right. Like, who really cares about Molten Heath, Eve side?
Actually, you got at least one member of the CSM who was really concerned about it. Like that's public information. They apparently as soon as Dust came out, they just moved to Molten Heath. So,
I feel bad for them.
yeah, I think that was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, probably. So is that all of your CPM stuff, Aeon?
I mean, like I've been really badgering some of the devs to try to get more lore into the system. I mean, like the Blood Raiders event was kind of cool, but I mean, like getting a paragraph description of an event is just it's not nearly as involving as what the Eve guys are getting with the drifters and
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I've been trying to kind of weasel something out of them, but it's going slow. So
I'm trying to think if it was CCP Fozzie that said something like the Dust players have a dedicated lore guy.
that was CCP Affinity on Tweet Fleet,
okay.
actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have one of those.
That's exactly my reaction. I was like, wait, when? Who?
Who is it though? For real?
I have no idea. I really
damn
don't.
it. That guy,
Like,
that guy needs to get on the forums. I want to talk to this guy. I'm sure
Yeah,
a lot of the community does too.
it totally threw me for a loop, man. Like I was just like, wait, what? It's just,
Huh.
but yeah, I mean, like one thing that I've been really thinking about though is as far as like events in general, kill events are cool, win events are hit or miss. I mean, if you're winning, it's awesome. If you're not, it's frustrating. But I mean, somebody mentioned that need to involve more get more involvement out of the players apart from just slaying. So
Yeah, I was talking to a courtmate of mine said this. Was going on about he plays mostly Logi and he's not really a slayer, so trying to get the 514 kills was a little bit of a challenge for him. I'm not sure if he obtained it. I just saw him going on about it, about how he would like to see more events geared toward Logis, I guess, or other players in different roles that aren't slaying roles. Not sure how CCP would go about doing that though.
yeah, I mean, like an easy way would just be assist, because then I mean, Logis are going to shoot something at some point.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I don't know about assists though. That last event we had, that was hard grinding out 125 assists.
Were those player assists on enemies, or were those
Those are kill assists.
Oh wow. Okay.
But I enjoyed the last event. It made sense for a pirate faction for a Halloween event.
Yeah.
Right.
It was nice.
I was just disappointed because I didn't have enough time between work and school to actually get on and get the 21 wins. I think I had like 18 before downtime, and I was disappointed.
Damn, dude.
I was even more disappointed that they're not tradable.
Oh, the skins aren't
See if it'll
tradable?
fix that.
Dude,
Yeah.
man.
Not yet.
That stinks.
So yeah, the first thing I did was like I knew I wasn't gonna have time for it. So the first thing I did is I went to I think 12 gauge. I was like, hey, look, I need to buy this skin off.
Yeah. Would it be possible to do an event based on healing points given?
I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, imagine like whatever event you have currently in your daily missions, they can iterate upon that.
Yeah, you could.
Maybe after 1.3, because I know like daily missions 2.0 is supposed to be a thing for 1.3.
Oh, really? Ooh, I need to look at the roadmap.
I don't know though. Like, just take that as a grain of salt.
We could have a running event.
Yeah, the roadmap has currently fitting and trading user experience, achievements 1.0,
Oh.
simple crafting, and daily missions 2.0 is what was on there. But with a grain of salt, it doesn't look like any of this has been modified since July.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he said
So-
that some of the stuff was supposed to piss people off, and nothing in there sounds like something that's going to piss people off.
Well, yeah.
If anything, people are going to be happy by, most everything
It's-
on there.
But so like in 4 months, some stuff might happen, might not happen. There might be
Mhm.
other things happening. Who knows?
It's really a big regret that we couldn't get the event extended, because I know a lot of people were having issues with like the black screen error.
Oh, yeah, I heard
It was
about that.
hard, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying when we had glitches during our term, we got events extended. Okay, we got that done.
Well, the best way that I can explain that is it was literally it literally came down to a choice. Is like, hey, do we extend the event, or do we try to get 1.3 done?
I'm just playing with you, man. All right. So the other question that I really quickly had for you before we stop harassing you, Aeon, is I think last week someone had mentioned. Did you guys by any chance have any meetings with CCP recently?
Don't know if I can go into that.
Okay, because usually
I mean-
we just ask did or didn't, not content, obviously. It's
I mean,
not
like,
something you can talk about.
we talk to CCP constantly, so I mean, like we're still talking to them. So I mean, if that answers your question,
All right.
yeah,
So
we don't really do like formalized meetings, like because we're just always in contact. I mean, I'm always on my phone, and I have Skype on my phone, so.
Alrighty. So moving on. Jadek,
Yes, sir.
you had things you wanted to talk at people about.
All right. Well, last week and a little bit before then, I've been throwing around the idea of moving myofibril modules to an equipment slot. That would be, I guess, similar to how the cloak module functions, where you activate it and then you have a certain amount of time to use it. And then once you expend that, the module itself has energy that has to recharge to a certain level before you can use it again. And kind of been looking into it a little bit, and it seems like it could be a good fit, because a lot of people were raging during the event of people just bringing out Agamis mass drivers and jumping around and shooting shit. And it was painful for sure. And then this is kind of the idea of moving jumps to a more tactical tool role that could also help CCP be able to roll out more variations of jump, because I remember working on this with Aeon a while back, when you could initially stack up to 5 myofibral modules, and then the stacking penalties were all out of whack. You could just go into orbit with these things. So
I missed that video.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind being able to return to that kind of jump, but making it manageable and in a way that I guess you can control better. And it seems like an equipment can do that while taking a weapon out of your hand.
That actually would be, yeah, that's something that's actually not a bad idea. Would there have to be another skill tree, to be able to add like, like a 1% reduction time to energy buildup or recharge or whatever?
I think you'd want one because you may want to separate this. I don't know if you thought about this, Jadek, but I know the original design of the myofibril stimulant was actually listed as supposed to do is increase melee damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so that you'd still want that to be a passive module, right? That you'd just throw in a low slot or something.
Oh, I was just thinking both jumps and melee would be on this equipment timer system. It's basically like what I do in my videos. kind of like a little bit of the basis for this idea too, where I run around with nano hives out punching people. So I mean, I can still punch people while not having a weapon out, but I'm pretty damn powerful regardless. So if you could like somehow make my effective combat window like 20 seconds or so, it seems like that would level things out power wise in CQC.
How would you activate it though? Would you activate it like a module on like a tank or something, like a hardener?
Well, like with the cloak, you pull it out and then you press your R1 button and it activates your cloak. So it's an active module. No,
oh, okay.
Module, yeah, active equipment.
Okay. You could just use the same animation, I guess, that you use for turning your cloak field on to turn on your jump boost, melee boost, or whatever, right?
Yeah. But you have like a limited time to be able to use it. There's also a really good point. I think Adipem made it, where it seems like the biotic modules in the high slots do a lot to help balance Slayer rolls, where you don't have the ability to jump and both have like extra shield tank or damage tank. So a good balance factor for this would be you can put this myofibril equipment in your equipment slot, but it would require a lot of power grid. And we have now power grid enhancement modules that go in your high slot. So for say like commandos or slayers, you would have to, if you put this equipment on, you'd have to put power grid modules in those high slots to be able to use it. But for classes like the scout or the logi, they would get, I guess, certain fitting bonuses to be able to use that more effectively while being able to retain some of their high slots without having to plug all of the power grid enhancement modules within those.
Yeah, it does sound like you would need a skill tree to help with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, adding in that power grid module, because that's something I feel is underused, are those PG CPU boost mods. I guess they are, because they boost the amount of PG and CPU you have, correct?
Right, but they've been balanced recently where they require now, like if you fit a PG module, it takes up CPU as well. Before it used to be like your CPU module would boost your CPU, but take 0 PG to fit. So now they kind of require a little bit of both to fit.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But another thing too is if this was like we did go through with this, something would have to be done with heavies, because myofibs as they do now are helpful to heavies to be able to like clear that like 6-inch lip of a curb or clear a rail, just to be you're an immortal mercenary 20,000 years in the future and you can't clear a little curb there. You need special biotic modules to do that.
That makes me giggle as a Logi standing behind a heavy who can't get up the curb and just sitting there, go dude, get up the curb, but you can't do it.
Man, like if you read the lore for Dust 514 and all the technology that we use, like you really just, you're like, what the fuck happened? I mean, like I was reading this bit earlier of during the Caldari Prime event, there's apparently a clone soldier called Highlander 29 who took an advanced HMG, quite literally named, the MH82.
Yeah.
And straight up killed a fucking saga in 3 bursts. Like 3 bursts, and then proceeded to take down like 2 or 3 dropships. And I'm just like, what?
There can only be one Highlander.
Like seriously, it was using armor-piercing rounds that penetrated the hull of the dropship and killed everybody inside of it. And I'm just like, how the hell did we not get this?
Well, that's our problem. We never got weapon mods. That's all we need.
Yeah.
That would fix our vehicle problems. Is all of our weapons need to be able to get these armor-piercing bullets, and then I can take stuff down with my like bolt pistol. I can take down dropships. It'd be great. You just need your armor piercing rounds that you can hook onto your bolt pistol, and then you're good.
That is what's going to piss people off in 1.3: armor piercing bolt pistols.
I mean, Zell, if we got like super jump equipment, I could just jump onto a dropship and take it down.
Sure, but even if you jump on a dropship, what do you do with it? I mean, you need to like be able to like rip its guts out or something.
Well, okay. I mean, Rattati is
still Nova knives.
Armor-piercing fists.
Yes, those about to say.
Dude.
Awesome. Oh yeah,
Make it
that'd be
so,
awesome.
Toddy.
Yeah, like the lore actually talks about a lot of shit that we don't have. Like apparently, Concord had something to do with Caldari Prime. They actually sent 2 agents from Ecade to like jack into these 1,000 millimeter dual like railguns and shoot down the Titan. And I was just like, wait a minute.
Wait, it was an inside job?
Yeah, pretty much. It was like nothing says like, hey, you remember that big ass event that took like 6-7 months of planning and then everybody played for like a day and then everybody thought they were really part of it? Yeah, no, that was gonna happen anyway. Like it really just ripped my guts out. It was just like, wow, that's Jesus.
Oh my. Speaking of events, I've been playing around with recording with the HUD removal glitch, trying to get more cinematic montages and corp event stuff recorded, and that's been going well. I've got some feedback in the forums on how to actually put my PS Move to use and getting my hand out of the screen. It has a purpose.
They didn't fix that?
No.
How do you do it then?
Well, the way I found that works pretty much every time is I go to the Neocom, pull up my drop suits, and I go to restock fit. And then as I'm purchasing a fit by pressing X, I immediately hit start twice, like in just rapid succession. And for some reason, that's spot on every time. It just gets rid of most of your HUD, except the kill feed and like you've been scanned messages up top.
I just want to interject just for a second. It isn't that they haven't fixed it, it's that they aren't going to fix it because they like that you guys are making movies with shit.
Content creation.
It's like the airdrop uplinks when you put a drop uplink on top of a dropship. Yeah, that was ruled by CCP as being like 100%, yeah, we're just going to leave that.
Sky spawning?
Yeah.
That's cool that they're keeping it in.
It'd be kind of nifty to make a game mode out of it. It would certainly put a lot of emphasis on wearing a skin, because as it is right now, you can't tell friend from foe. There's no like heads up notifications, so if you have to rely on visual alone, like versus move kind of thing.
Yeah.
It would be nifty. Could also drive skin sales.
Yeah, that would drive skin sales. Yeah, that'd be cool. They'd make a maybe a like a free for all match out of that.
Yeah.
Take away the HUD, shoot with.
Kind of reminds me of like DayZ a little bit, where you can change your shirts and your whole team has to coordinate. So okay, everybody wear the green skin. And some enemy like finds out about that, and then they change over to green skin, and you don't shoot them, but suddenly, oh fuck, we've been had. He knows us. He's not one of us.
And you got that
Enemy.
one blueberry that doesn't have that skin.
Yeah. You're fucked.
A moment of silence for the fallen.
Fuck yeah. All right, moving on then from that awkward pause. Jaded, did you have more that you want to talk about, or are we gonna have to move to Zell and his whatever he wanted to talk about?
Nothing more for Dust at the moment.
Any non-Dust stuff?
Well, a game called Infinity Battlescape popped up on my radar just a little bit ago, and I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far. It's on a Kickstarter right now. They're trying to raise $300,000 for their initial goals for getting it out to people. It's kind of like a match-based, not quite persistent yet, but they want to make it like a stretch goal for persistence. But the really like novel thing about it is they've the studio behind it, iNovi Studios, has been they've been in development hell for quite a long time, but they've recently shown this prototype of a space sim that allows you to fly through space, go by all these installations, and then you can land on planets, but there's no loading screens or any kind of animation between that. It's just seamless. You are flying onto these procedurally generated worlds that look really well done, even for just the prototype version that's out now. But how it works is your teams are spawning in matches, and each team gets like a certain amount of star bases, planetary bases, and resources that are split amongst your team members. And every couple minutes or so, a fighter or a freighter comes up from the planet or the space station, go down to the planet carrying credits. And your enemy team is they're tasked with destroying your freighter and looting that freighter and getting your credits that would be going to your stations. And
Oh wait, is this Angels Fall first?
No, this is different. I saw that one too. That looks amazing. Yeah. So there's a lot of really neat space sims coming out now.
I think Eve has a lot to be worried about right now. There is a lot of stuff coming in. From the big multi-million-dollar projects to the small indie stuff. There's just so much entering this market that was. It's been really devoid for a long time. I have really fond memories of all the old Star Trek branded games that they used to produce back in, oh gosh, was that the early 2000s and late 90s?
Ooh, yeah.
There was some good games back then, and but it's been a long time since there's been much that takes place in space. It's kind of like science fiction, how we just started getting like our first 2 shows in years that take place on spaceships.
Yeah.
Sci-fi's been, it's been a tough several years, and I think we're finally getting back to having our space fiction. But yeah, I mean the big thing with I looked at the Infinity Battlescape Kickstarter just before the show, and the thing that catches me every time I see it is, of course, the statement that things will be procedurally generated. And there's a lot of games promising that. I know the big one, of course, of note that was shown off at E3, and I think that should be coming out soon, is No Man's Sky.
Yep.
Oh yeah, dude.
But
that was just on the nightly show with Colbert. There, they did a thing with that, him showing it off, making Colbert Prime.
Okay. But I mean, like, what we haven't seen yet, we haven't seen released a good procedurally generated game. And I'm really interested to see that, because, I mean, Dust was supposed to be, procedurally generated at one point, I think. And procedural generation has its ups and downs. It's not necessary. It sounds great. It makes a great marketing bullet. Infinite numbers of map options, and then you get like what Dust did, which is like, well, we've got like 8 maps, but they've got like 1,000 different colored terrains and skybox combinations that we can do. It's really tough to get compelling gameplay on something that comes out of a random number generator. So it's a really interesting challenge, and I'm sure that there's going to be a point, and we might be coming up on it in this next year, where people start getting procedurally generated gameplay right. But I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Does everybody remember in Dust, like during the closed beta, when the ground would come up and grab your feet?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would go awful with procedural generation. It's like you're trying to go inside this building and the sand is just like, no.
Yep, you're sinking into the ground now.
Tanks
still
just
happens.
disappearing underneath the map and exploding off camera.
Oh, yeah. That was like a specific spot in one of the maps where you opened up your menu.
And the hilarious part, do you remember when that fucking hole in the ground that you could visibly see that just went to the abyss?
Yep. There's videos of that still out there.
All right, Zell, did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so the big news item that came out this week, I was kind of holding because I was hoping we were going to have another guest on. But the big thing is that all of a sudden, and I don't know if anybody had anything about this on their radar, but all of a sudden it was announced that CCP actually sold a subsidiary that they own called White Wolf Publishing to another company called Paradox Interactive. And it's kind of out of left field, and it makes a lot of sense for them to get rid of it, but it just, I almost wonder why they didn't do it sooner. For those who don't know, I think it was in 2006. 2006? I think that's right. CCP bought White Wolf Publishing, which runs is kind of they do more book, like tabletop RPG type stuff mostly, for like World of Darkness, werewolves, vampires, that sort of thing. And CCP bought it, and immediately, they bought the whole intellectual property. I think that's where their studio in Atlanta came from to begin with. And they said, we're going to make an MMO for World of Darkness. And they worked on it for 9 years, and then they canceled it. So, like a studio of people and 9 years worth of work so far gone completely to waste. And then, now they've sold it to this company that seems like they mostly do, like all those games that you see on Steam regularly that must be clearly at least somewhat popular to appear highly on Steam lists, but isn't like made by a major publisher. You don't like one of them is like City Skylines. You've heard good things. I haven't actually personally tried it, but it's like it's a SimCity type of thing, and they have I want to say quite a handful of games actually that they own so far. And my question is, as they didn't say much about what they intended to do with it. CCP really had just been sitting on the property. They've sold. They outsourced the licensing to actually publish additional tabletop books. I think that you can still. There are people writing them, but CCP isn't really doing it in house. They're kind of signing off on another company doing it. But the interesting question is that this game company that purchased it isn't a tabletop RPG company, of which there are several that they could have sold to for that, but an actual video game company. And it makes me wonder if they may be planning on taking a look at all the assets that CCP developed for the World of Darkness MMO and trying to either finish and polish and release that, or maybe make an entirely new game using some of those materials.
Yeah, looking at. Go ahead.
Well, now saying like access to all of their like developed assets so far, wouldn't that also include the Carbon engine?
At some level, yeah. I mean, from my understanding, World of Darkness's Carbon engine and Eve's kind of diverged at one point pretty heavily, so I'm not sure how compatible those are. But I mean, at the very least, I don't know if you'd want to use Carbon. It's not a very good engine, and obviously CCP failed to ever put it to any good use themselves. As far as the graphics and the ambulation standpoint, the walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, there's things like Crest and quite a few different components of Eve that are actually part of that whole Carbon engine suite that are effective, but their graphics engine really never took off, and it's probably pretty outdated now because they no longer really focus on it. I would think that you'd probably want to move to something like Unreal, but if 9 years worth of work, that's a ton of art assets and maps and designs, and I'm wondering if that might be what they're really, really after there.
Yeah, looking at, I hadn't heard of Paradox Interactive until the news broke. So I looked at what they had a hand in, and it looks like they published the Magicka series of games, Mountain Blade. Published City Skylines.
I mean, there's a ton of games on there that I'd heard of. I hadn't tried, but I'd heard of. I had never heard of the company before, though, prior to this.
Yeah. Pillars of Eternity is something that they had a hand in. That game came out recently, too. Heard good things about that one. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what Paradox does with these with what they've acquired from CCP. So that'll definitely be something to be watching.
And I'm curious because I know that the Atlanta studio had a lot to do with World of Darkness, and I don't know how many people still are there involved in that. But I don't know if there's anything that's going to be changing as far as what they have there or who's there.
I think they're hiring for CCP Atlanta.
Because that's the VR studios.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of the VR experimentation over there now.
Oh, I thought that was Newcastle.
Newcastle is Valkyrie, but if you saw the at Fanfest, they had a lot of VR demos, just kind of little interactive games and stuff, and those were all developed out of Atlanta. Atlanta's kind of doing the VR skunkworks type of thing, whereas Newcastle's very focused on Valkyrie and getting that polished and out the door.
I gotcha. Okay.
My favorite game ever is a Atlanta demo, and I really want to rematch Cross because I want to beat his pants. Is the disc battle game for the Oculus Rift?
Disc battle,
like Tron disc battle.
Yeah, it was a 2-player game with the VR headsets where you can actually throw and deflect these discs back and forth at each other. And Cross and I tied.
Right.
So I'm hurt because I have no way to get that rematch because it's a prototype game.
So I guess like the big question people are wondering now is what CCP is going to do with the cash that they've gotten from that deal with Paradox Interactive. Because apparently it was for tens of millions of dollars, or not dollars, Swedish krona, which translates to maybe like $3 to $5 million cash.
Well, there's an interesting question there, because I don't think that they made much money when you think about it, because they bought White Wolf Publishing in the first place. They spent 9 years developing this game for it that was an untold sized money pit for almost a decade. I mean, I don't know how much. It seems like they're more trying to get a couple of bucks off their debt than really make money on that. Again, if it was $3 million or something, that's not a lot to work with. From the scale that they have to work with.
Money pit needs more.
And I mean, the thing is it's not like this, Paradox is of the scale that they're gonna make out like bandits selling this to them. So yeah, they probably were like, look, we have this stuff lying around, we're never going to use it, and this other company wants to buy it from us. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Now you have people tinfoiling that are going to use the money for a dust port.
Nah. No, they're not. I would be surprised if they did, but we'll see.
I don't think that's it. Like, I don't think there's a decision that, like, we have to sell this property to pay for this property, that sort of thing. I mean, they have money to work with. It's it all gets confused down into budget sheets and whatnot. But yeah, I doubt it's anything so specific that one could nail down. This is what they're using this money for.
Be really helpful, I'd imagine, though.
Well, they used to have to actually account for this stuff publicly, where they'd have to list out where they made money and lost money, and they don't have to do that anymore.
Right. Which is, I think it might be a good thing, honestly. Because people were reading a lot into that. It was just getting a little ridiculous.
I mean, it also kind of ties into another piece of quote-unquote dust news, that they are looking for a new brand manager for Shanghai.
Oh, yes. Yes,
which
they are.
A big bit of the job description was to help grow the Dust 514 product.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they read that, forgot that CCP Shanghai has Gunjack and EVE Online Serenity.
Sure,
Mhm.
but I mean, it also
specifically said Dust
very
514,
clearly,
didn't it?
It says Dust
Yeah.
a lot. It
Yeah.
has,
It does, yeah.
I mean, it has one of the largest bullet points in position purpose is quote unquote digital business management and monetization for the Dust 514 brand, manage the sales channel, merchandising, help determine the strategic direction of the product, and manage the revenue globally for Dust 514 in conjunction with development, sales, finance, project management, business development. And it also
So
says,
that you know all this.
and I have the screen open. I'm reading it.
Like,
You know, it's right off the top of his
Yeah,
head.
yeah, I totally memorize CCP job postings. That's what I do all day.
That's how much
But I
you
mean,
love Dust.
Like, if you look at their job duties under business management, both bullets under business management are Dust specific, and then the next one under e-commerce is also Dust specific. So the thing is while it does mention that the overall description, it says Eve and Dust, brand manager in Shanghai. It's very heavily, there's 4 bullet items in here that specifically say this is a job about Dust 514. But I believe we did hear that this is kind of a replacement for someone already there, not like a expansion of the service or anything like that. But I don't know. There's obviously HR is not really a department we get a ton of communication about.
Hey, either way, might be cheaper skins finally.
I would
That's
hope
right.
so.
They hire someone.
It's like, Jesus Christ, $5 is $10 skin. What is wrong with you people?
Hopefully, the next person that comes in can can fix that.
But so, hey, either they see this future for this strong future for Dust, or they're hiring someone into a dead end job. One of the two.
What kind of salary are you looking for?
How long do you expect to be working here?
How much experience do you have? Did you at any point in your life ever work for EA?
Tell us one of your weaknesses and how you can turn it into a strength.
Well, like, there's already CCP.
I like pencils.
Why wouldn't they hire someone like EA? It'd be like, oh, dude, it's JC's buddy.
All right. Yeah.
JC's cool.
He is cool. He's a cool dude.
I gave him a lot of shit in the past, and I kind of regret it.
He's tough though. He can take it. He can handle the crud.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I had something and then it just left, just disappeared the way it went.
Oh man. Well, I would like to take this time to briefly bring up the Twitter campaign that has been going on for 2 or 3 weeks now, I guess, maybe longer than that. Hashtag PortDust514 is still going strong on Twitter. Still a lot of content being pushed out.
And you don't need to be an expert in Photoshop to participate.
No,
it helps, but you don't have to.
Catmark is a prime example of that.
You
But
can
his
actually
skills
participate
are,
with paint.
yes, you could.
Catmark scares the hell out of me with some of those, though.
Some of those images are the greatest thing
The
ever.
plasma cannon placement, man.
Oh,
It's really, really challenging.
Yes.
I'm just sitting there like, oh god, like
That's a big plasma
That was
cannon.
good.
I'm like just
Well
hearing the
endowed.
PR stunt that he's trying to pull. I told him, I think I told him the other day, I was like, dude, I think you're trying to get banned just so that you can say
Yeah.
that they banned you for trying to support a port.
He's got what's great is you go look at those images and then you go look at who favorited them, and
Oh, it's amazing.
Ritati's on almost everyone. He loves them.
And then Hilmar's there too.
I actually got JC to come out of hiding and favorite something that I posted.
Nice.
That was when I photoshopped his head onto a Minmatar Logistics.
Oh man.
I mean, I got a graphic design experience, so it kind of looked a little. No offense to Catmark or nothing, but
There's also been a petition on the E forums to have like the dust or like
I saw
the
that.
devs say something at the next Fanfest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was really nice to see all the Eve players, coming together and knowing that there were some that still cared about us and about the game. So we'll see what happens with that.
oh god, I'm mixed on that, man.
I don't expect anything out of it, but it's nice to know that they were not the only ones who like our game and would like to continue to play it or try. Well, not try, but to get a chance to play it.
I don't know. I just suspect to be some like Gunjack fucking big announcement. It's like, hey, new expansion for Gunjack.
I mean, if they have news, I mean, don't save it for Fanfest.
Oh, please don't.
No.
It's like I think even EVE Online devs have learned that. I mean, they announced a lot of the stuff in Vegas for all things.
Well, they've done that before with Vegas because it is kind of, it's 6 months around. It's kind of the half-year point. It's a big enough event that they can be like, well, But in a lot of cases, they said a lot of what they said at Vegas. They had said already. Sure, they gave the expansion a name, but the expansion, they'd already said this is what the expansion is going to be. Before, and they'd done dev blogs before, and they just kind of, they maybe held a few things back, but I mean, the thing is that it makes sense sometimes for EVE because Vegas and FanFest are EVE events, and a lot of EVE players go to them. But it doesn't really make sense for Dust, where I'm the one guy who went woo when someone asked about Dust. So CCP knows that the players are out here, and that we've waited long enough to hear something, and hopefully, if they have something to say, they're just going to come out and say it.
And if they do wait till FanFest, just have the satisfaction of knowing that Zoe will be the only one to yell woo when they announce anything for Dust.
I don't know if I'm going back again this year.
Oh, come on.
I would like to go back again. It was a lot of fun. I haven't really decided. I have a new job this year, so I'm banking up vacation time again, and I set myself up. Like, I used to have this really, really cushy job where I could, like, sit at my desk, and since I'd already fixed everything in the preceding 4 years, I could just kind of sit online and surf the web and wait for things to break.
Nice.
That is no longer the case. I now work in government, and
Oh.
I have a lot of work to do. I don't work. I work for. Well, technically, I don't work in government. I'm not a government employee. I work for government, but I'm a contractor.
Gotcha.
It's yeah. But I have a lot of work to do. It's very busy, and it would be very tough for me to figure out good ways to get time away that won't wreck everything. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I'm learning a lot.
I went broke trying to get my ticket to Fanfest.
It's expensive. Yeah. It's actually surprisingly reasonable though for an international trip. I mean,
dude, look, I'm just gonna say this.
How much
those
is
people
it
that
about?
were like, "Oh, free trip to Iceland, free trip to Shanghai," fuck you, people. Jesus Christ, fucking $1,800. Jesus Christ.
Oh, is it? That's cheaper than I thought.
Yeah, no, it's like for like I think I got one for $1,600. It depends on what hotel you go with there. But they through Iceland Air, they have package deals that include the round trip flight and the hotel stay, and that's all bundled together. So that's like $1,600 or $1,800. That's for the hotel and the flights, and then you add like another $40 maybe for the commute to the airport and back, which you kind of have to do because the airport is not right in Reykjavik. But for as far as international trips go, the pricing is not bad to Iceland at all. And then the only thing CPM get really is they get a free ticket in the door at FanFest. I mean, they get all the perks, but that's they still have to shell out for the flight if they want to go.
Yeah, that whole like $200.
Yeah, you get nothing. Basically, but it's a lot of fun. The real secret, though, if you're a CPM, is that you can go in the press area and they have free soda, and that's totally worth it. Because soda's like $4 a bottle there.
Holy shit!
Well,
and it's like a really small bottle too. Because it's Europe. It's not American-sized portions.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little bottle. It's like $4, but it's made with real sugar and it tastes really good.
It's not just that though. I mean, the reason it's $4 is because like Iceland doesn't have income tax, so like everything the government makes is like through sales tax. So
that's fair.
Yeah, there's times I kind of wish we would do that here in America because I really hate just seeing like a fucking third of my paycheck just disappear.
So do we know what CPM are going to FanFest this year for sure, or next year?
I'm going for 100% certain.
I know Denny's going. He started his cosplay.
Denny will always be going, dude. Denny will be going like 5 years after CCP is gone. He will go rent out. He will rent out the Harpa and hang out himself. I mean,
but you can swim there. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's the other thing. His travel's a lot cheaper and a lot shorter than ours is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it, man. Like I'm looking forward to hanging out with dusters for once. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like
the two dusters. You'll hang out with me. I'll go and we'll hang out.
Yeah,
us and Denny, and that'll be the dust crowd.
No, I'm probably gonna be cosplaying myself. So.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can be associated with you and Denny then. That's
terrible.
See, I'm actually gonna try to like put a lot of money into this so it doesn't look just thrown together or shoddy. Like I actually kind of want to make this look good.
What are you doing?
Shots fired.
At who?
Denny.
Oh come on! Come on, man! I didn't say that.
Dude, I have to take the minor chance to create some podcast drama.
Jeez, poor Denny.
I love that guy, dude.
Yeah, Denny's awesome.
He's fun.
You can't help but love Denny. There are people who can't love him, but it's hard not to for me. He's great.
See, I wanted to go as like something Galente because I'm primarily Galente. I have Galente tattoos, but I have a very
with Denny's Caldari, you guys gotta
Ah.
throw down in the center of the floor here.
actually let me get into that. See, I have a very like Viking / biker look to me, so the Galente thing doesn't really work. So I just decided, fuck it, I'm just gonna dread my hair up. And I'm gonna go as Minmatar.
That'll work.
Yeah. And then I hope to find Max Singularity in his like Amar Pope costume.
Dude, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, because he'll be there for the thingy.
He'll run over you with the rover.
Or have that little crab thing eat you. Whatever that is.
Oh, the Feto?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh Jesus, I've been reading too much lore.
They had a piece come out recently where it's like some people removed this panel on a space station and it's like a bunch of Feto in there, like massively overgrown.
Dude.
Like, what's that smell?
Yeah, dude, the fucking like the man-eating Feto. Oh my god. Dude, I busted out laughing at work. I couldn't help myself, man. Just the thought of these like squishy little Pokemon-looking things crawling all over and eating these people. Like it's a horrible way to die, but jeez. No, like I really wish people would kind of like delve into the lore a little bit more because, like, you know, it's so intriguing. You know, just so well written. It's awesome. I love it.
But so few people pay attention to it.
I know.
The thing that killed me, Aeon, was with the Valkyrie keynote when the CCP guy was like super excited to announce that the villain was Fable,
Yes.
and like no one in the room cared.
That whole keynote was just laughable for me watching that. I don't know who it was up there. I came into the I think toward the end of that keynote, right before they announced Fatal, and he was just so awkward up there, poor guy.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I kind of understand it. You know, a lot of people don't look into the lore. So when you go up there and you get all excited and bubbly and you're just like, and it's Fatal, and everybody's just looking at you like, what? I mean, that would have, like, I would have had a plan B where as soon as I said, you know, where I went to go say Fatal and I knew that nobody was interested, I would have just replaced it with John Cena.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a fallback plan, man.
That you do.
I mean, and who wouldn't want to fight John Cena in Starship, you know, combat? Come on.
That's great.
Yeah, so Jar Jar Binks, right?
No.
I just read this. What was it? There was this theory on how Jar Jar Binks was actually like the mastermind behind the entire like Sith happenings in the entire franchise.
It's so fucking plausible. I read that theory and it is so fucking plausible. I mean, just a second. I'll
we
get it for you,
will
dude. It's
That's
so
link it
awesome.
to you. But basically, it amounts to the fact that like there's no way he couldn't be as incompetent and stupid as he appears, and so that it's all you know a ruse while he's actually like setting up like in everything for Palpatine, and that they're like partners, and that very possibly Jar Jar is actually like the main villain.
Like, I think the part that sealed it for me was the fact that like Jar Jar was with Palpatine after Palpatine initiated the order to kill all the Jedi. I mean, come on, dude, that's some shady shit, yo.
Wait, so is he just like a mastermind, or like is it? Are they saying like he's a fucking Sith or whatever?
Yeah,
They're saying
like,
he's a Sith Lord.
Their theory was that Sith Lord Jar Jar was originally going to be like the main villain, like for the third movie.
Dude, I want to see Jar Jar Binks like shoot lightning out of his fingertips.
Misaka Benji, Annie.
And his theory went on to even say that he fully expects Jar Jar to be redeemed in everyone's eyes in the 7th movie, where they will explain all of this.
I'm telling you, man, this 7th movie, you're gonna see that Sith with like the cross-bladed lightsaber just take that mask off, and it's just gonna be Jar Jar, and everyone's gonna fucking die.
Someone did it.
you,
Someone did a
Annie.
trailer with that too. They took the Force Awakens trailer and they cut in Jar Jar into like almost every shot.
Oh, jeez. Like, there's a part of me that really wants to see that. Like, I really want to see this. Like,
I will find it for you.
I mean, like I don't know. There's like I'm so mixed on this because on one part of me I'm just like, oh god, that's gonna be horrible. On the other part, it's like, wow, that's actually plausible. I would really love to see that. But then there's like this deep dark part of me, this vindictive side. It's just like I cannot wait to see all the nerds' faces when they see Jar Jar Binks underneath that mask.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
All right, so we are definitely heading off the rails. So
Yes, very off the
I
rails.
think that we should probably start shoutouts.
All right, and for shoutouts, we'll go ahead and start at the top of the list. So, Aeon, you want to kick us off?
Shout out to the Dust 514 community that isn't entirely pessimistic yet. And shout out to the CSM and FW guys for helping out.
Zell?
I'm gonna give my shout out to the girl who hit my car on Tuesday. Because I realized that I can now say that a girl has given me her phone number this year. I mean, technically we were trading insurance information, but technically that box has been checked. So
Jesus Christ.
Whatever works, Zell.
Wow. All right, Jadek.
All right. I've been monitoring a lot of chat channels lately, and I want to give my shout out to a specific trader.
And his name is John C.
Awesome.
Thank you. That was lovely. Thank you, Jadek.
Glad to set that one up.
Oh, I love seeing those on YouTube just pop out of nowhere. Makes me that is the one meme that fails to never, or I'm sorry, that always makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Look, can I
So
just
good.
say one more thing about the Star Wars thing? I promise I'll leave it after that.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Think about this for a second, okay? The last movie, Return of the Jedi, right? When the Ewoks had them all tied up and shit, they put them over a fire and they seasoned them. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that tells me that those murderous, furry little bastards know how to cook a human. They've eaten people before, man.
They look like they have.
Is there like an Ewok cookbook?
Right?
Mm.
And then you gotta remember, right? After the battle, they had stormtrooper helmets like on pikes and shit. I'm
Oh
just saying.
shit! You think maybe they?
They went somewhere, yo.
Yeah, yeah.
Never gonna watch that movie the same way again. All right. Well, with that, I do believe we're gonna call this episode to a close.
Wait, what's your shout out?
Oh yeah, that's right. My shout out is going to have to go to as it does every week. My corporation Incorruptibles. Love playing with you guys. Hopefully we'll be back in squad soon. We'll see. What else do I want to shout out to? I had something else. Oh, shout out to Pokey and Jay.
Yeah, we might have
for skipping.
actual hosts back this week.
Yeah,
next
proper
week.
hosts that don't murder their introductions. That would be nice. A shout out to the Eve community for all their support in the hashtag Dust514 or Port Dust514 campaign. Really encouraging, like I said before. So yeah, I think that will be it. So with that, this has been Biomassed episode 78, and Aiwha Bait signing off.